We are just waiting for the people to join. We will start in 2 minutes. Thank you all for joining on time. Good evening, Aklaviji. So we'll start in another minute.
पट्टी इसका सारा एक्स्ट्रा पानी निकाल लें। इस तरह से आप देख रहे हैं यहाँ पे कोई भी पानी नहीं रहा है। अब हम यहाँ पे भीगी हुई
Good evening, Joseph sir. All right, so we are just starting now. Yeah. Good evening, all. Thank you for joining. So this is about happiness and well-being after 50 plus, and how to cope up with different kind of stressors we encounter in our life. So whoever has joined last week, we have talked about some of the aspects of stress and stress management. So quickly I will cover for those people who have missed the last session. I'll just quickly cover for probably around 7 to 8 minutes. I will cover what we have discussed in the last session. Right. So starting with the definition of stress, any unexpected thing happens in our life, our body automatically responds, right? Either to the physical demands or mental demands. Right. So we get into three kinds of states where, either we try to fight with the situation, or we try to run away with the situation, or probably sometimes we get blank. We don't know what to do. So that is called freeze state. And this is quite common. The stress is quite common. Everybody goes through the stress. But sometimes what happens is our mind induces, extra stress to us. So in these sessions, we are talking about that mind-induced stress, right? Not the regular stress which we encounter, and the regular response. So if we look at it, in the stressors in our life, various stressors in our life, we discussed about it, especially for the people who are into 50 plus, and when they are, going towards the retirement life, or if they are already, retired from their active career. So they go through some kind of financial stressors, the physical stressors, and then, the relationships because it need not be, the relationship need not be something like, very, what you call the divorce or something like that, but it can be because, they probably some of, your kids went abroad, or went to out of station for education, career perspective, and you'll be missing them, right? So that also comes under the relationship stress. And then work related stress, sometimes maybe you are about to retire, you may have a lot of work stress because you are in the peak of your career, or sometimes you may be thinking about what I will do in rest of my life, right? Because you are having a very active career. Now after retirement, what you need to do? So that itself, adds to stress. And of course psychological, barriers are there, right? Which is to deal with our, the mindset, our, mental health issues kind of thing. And then, we need to understand that it is quite common, and we cannot avoid the stress, because sometimes there are some internal stressors are there which you can avoid, but sometimes there are external stressors which you cannot avoid. For example, though you are driving very carefully, somebody else might come and hit you from the behind or from the side. I mean, again, that may not be intentional, but because of, like, maybe that person is driving rash or whatever it is, so though sometimes, it is not in our control, those are called external stresses. So those things anyway we cannot avoid. So, but we need to understand how we can manage, right? So again, we talked about the analogy of bucket, right? The, like, when you pour the water into the bucket, and if there is no tap, what will happen is, after a certain point of time, all the water comes out. So whatever you're pouring beyond a certain limit, that water comes out. Similarly, our mind also has a certain threshold limit. Everybody has their own threshold limit to accommodate different types of stressors, be it health, be it finance, be it friends, politics, whatever it is, right? Time pressures and all. And if our mind cannot withhold, or our mind cannot, take up any more stress, then that comes into as anxiety or depression or other mental health problems. So for that purpose, we need to have some kind of tap. So in psychology, the tap is called coping mechanism. So, whenever we get into stresses, we need to activate our coping mechanisms. And again, the coping mechanisms can be positive and negative. Like, some of the positive coping mechanisms are like, yoga, running, walking, nature, meditation, and all. And some of the negative coping mechanisms are like, people take smoking, alcohol, drugs, or, angry outbursts, all those things. So what happens is, the positive coping mechanisms definitely help us in the long run, whereas negative coping mechanisms may give us a very short-term relief, but in the long term, they also add to our stresses. Say, for example, if somebody is, taking to smoking as a coping mechanism, in the short term, probably they may get some kind of relief, but in the end, what happens is, probably if they're addicted to smoking, their health will be spoiled, their relationships will be spoiled, and, a lot of other things happen. Their finances will be, changed. All those things happen. So we always need to ensure that we are keeping our stress within the limits with positive coping mechanisms. And then we also discussed, is stress bad, right? Stress is like a rubber band. So if you want to, tie something with the rubber band, what you need to do is, you need to, you usually, stretch the rubber band and then tie it. But if you stretch it too much, it will break. The same way, the stress also, there is something called, positive stress and negative stress. The positive stress is, if it is too much stress, people will be distressed. And we always need to keep our stress levels in the optimum level, which we call it as a EU stress. So that is what, so stress is always not bad. Sometimes when we are challenged to go out of comfort zone, we will be achieving better results. So that kind of stress is okay. But if the stress is too much, then definitely we will get into some kind of burnout situation and all those things, which is not good, right? So then again, we looked at what is the impact of stress on individuals, right? It can be on physical health, it can be on your behavioral stresses are there, and it can be cognitive, like it is related to your thinking patterns, and it can impact your emotional resilience also. So in a single sentence, if we have to say, stress impacts all aspects of our life, right? You will see the issues with your physical health, your mental health, your cognitive health gets declined, and emotional intelligence or emotional sensitivity also will go down, right? So now understanding that, okay, stress impacts all aspects of our life, then how do we manage the stress? Again, we talked about 4 A's, right? I don't know whoever has attended a last session. Can you recollect what are these 4 A's?
Yeah, accept, avoid, alter.
Exactly. Thank you, Pradeep sir. Yes. So we have avoid, alter, accept, and adapt. So we need to adapt whatever we can do, like rushing things, or saying yes to everything. All those things we need to avoid. Sometimes we need to alter our lifestyle habits, right, which doesn't help us. Maybe the schedules, whatever it is, and then sometimes we need to accept the situations which are not in our control, and also accept the feedback, accept our mistakes, instead of arguing that it is not my mistake. And sometimes we have to adapt, like for example, in like probably 20-30 years back, we did not have the mobile phones. We only have the communication through the regular telephones. But now everybody is adapting to the mobile phone, so probably we also need to adapt to the new technology, which will help us, right? Similarly, you need to take care of yourself by having some kind of me time. You have to adapt to your network. All those things we have to do. And so if we categorize these mechanisms, we will come up with two types of stress busters. One is behavioral stress busters and cognitive stress busters. So last week, we discussed about behavioral stress busters, and these behavioral stress busters are, you can see it in any self-help books. You can search in your internet, you can find out in newspapers, everywhere people talk about these kind of coping mechanisms with stress, right? These are like typically you need to manage your time, you need to be organized, you need to spend time with family, you need to practice meditation, you need to sleep well, you need to take breaks, you need to go out for the nature, yoga, meditation, learning music, dance. These are all the things which are definitely help you to relieve your stress. But many times people complain that these tips, behavioral tips, are not working. The reason why they don't work is, when you are stressed out, you cannot start doing meditation. The meditation should be part of your daily habit. Then when you encounter any stressor, when you do a meditation, then you can come out of stress. But you cannot start meditating on that particular day because you may not know how to do it. The same way, the deep breathing techniques. The same way, if somebody, is, if somebody can, play a flute or any other music, and if they want to relieve stress, they cannot start landing on that particular moment, right? So it should be part of your daily activity. So you can play flute, and you get immersed in it, you get involved in it, and you can reduce stress. Then you have to first learn before applying it. So that is the reason why many people complain that behavioral tips are not working, because they are not practicing it on a daily basis. So but when you practice it, these will have tremendous effect on your stress coping mechanisms, right? And then we also looked at briefly the box breathing technique, which will help in regulating breath, improving the oxygen to lungs, reducing blood pressure and all those things, right? Regulate stress we have seen. In the interest of time, I'm not going through this, but you can see it in the video which I have already shared, the part 1 video, right? And then we also discussed about the 5G technique. It's like, go and explore the world, go and find out your purpose. What is your purpose? Get busy in life, right? Because just because you are retired, it doesn't mean that you can just sit idle, because that will put more stress for you. So get a routine for yourself, right? Whatever you can do, and then similarly, contribute to the society, and become better version of yourself every day. And then, very importantly, be thankful for whatever we are having, and then forgive others, right? So these are the 5 different G's which will help us to reduce our stress. And then we looked at HWC. Anyone can tell me what is HWC? Whoever has attended the last session.
Yeah, hurry, worry, curry.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. So hurry, worry, curry is the major stress factors, and definitely we need to avoid, especially after 50 plus. Yeah, and then we also looked at the happiness dose. Happiness dose is nothing but we have the neurochemicals in our brain. So if we can trigger those neurochemicals by doing certain activities, we can be happy, right? Even when we are encountering stress, probably if we do some of these activities, that will trigger your neurochemicals, and then that will help you relieving the stress, like playing with a dog, or completing a task, or the mood stabilizers like sun exposure, or endorphins like laughing and all those things. Again, in the interest of time, I'm not going through in the details. So this is what we have discussed in the last session. So today we will be focusing on the part 2, which is cognitive stress busters, right? So cognitive stress busters means actually it is to do with our thinking patterns, right? As we discussed in our WhatsApp group, the ability to think is the greatest gift is given to human beings, right? But only thing is, it is a double-edged sword, right? The ability to think can help us. At the same time, by overthinking, etc., probably destroys our peace also. So we need to be careful, and we need to understand what are our thinking patterns and how we can change those thinking patterns to help us. So that is what we will see it in today's session. Yeah. So now again, like last week session, we want to make this as an interactive session, right? So how many of you agree, right? You always respond in the similar way for the similar situation. Please feel free to unmute yourself, or please feel free to drop a message in chat box, whatever works for you. So yeah, Pradeep sir says yes, and then Satya also says yes. What about others? Do you believe that we all respond in the similar way for the similar situation? Yes. Yes. Thank you. So now let us look at it, right? I would like to challenge your thought pattern here. So I will give you an example. Right? Say, for example, you're going in a car, and somebody comes and slightly, what do you call, slightly hits you, in the side mirror, right? So now, what will happen if that person is a stranger? What do? You are going very carefully, but suddenly some scooter wala comes and hits you on the side mirror. So what happens? What do you do if that side scooter wala is a stranger? We get angry, maybe we will fight. Yeah, shout at him, angry, fight, arguments, right? Okay, now you are going in a car, and some scooter wala came and hit you from the side, again side mirror, and that scooter wala, you found out that he is your friendly neighbor. He just staying in your street, very friendly with you. So what do you do in that case? right? I mean, after he removes his helmet, you found that he is your friendly neighbor. So what will happen at that point of time? You don't get angry, isn't it? You get upset, but you don't shout at him. Correct? No fights. Now you are again going on the car, going in the car, and somebody hits you from the side. So now you get down from the car, and that person also removes the helmet, and you see that person is your best friend whom you didn't meet in many years. Right? Probably last 5, 6 years you didn't meet him or her. Then what will happen? Can you tell me what you do if you meet your long lost friend, right? He is a best friend. You didn't meet him in last 5, 6 years or meet him or her, right? What do? Anyone? You feel happy to see him more than like whatever scratch that happened in your on your car. You'll be more happy to see him or her, and then you hug them, you forgive them. You don't even think about forgiving and all, right? You just take him to side or take her to side and chit chat, and so what happens here is the situation is same, but your response or behavior is changed, right, based on who is that person is. Correct? Why? That is because it is part of your perception. Yeah. Motive. Correct. Exactly. So now let us look at what are the stages of stress, right? First, you encounter a stressor, whatever it is. Once you encounter the stressor, what happens is you form a perception about that incident, that person, that event, whatever it is. Just a minute. Sorry. Right? So that perception means what happens is we think about, do I have a control on this? What timing it happened? What are the value we are associating with? What are the emotions we are associating with? In the example, what we discussed in the last slide, when it is our best friend whom we didn't meet in last few years, the emotions of happiness overpowers the emotion of anger or upset. But if it is a stranger, probably that emotion is not there. So the perception, the value associated with it, the emotion, all constitutes, of your perception. Now, based on the perception, we take action that we have already seen. If we think that stranger is very rude, he is driving very rude, we react. But if the stranger is if the scooter wala is a neighbor, friendly neighbor, probably we try to control our emotions because we have to see his face or her face next day morning, right? So that is the value you are associating with. But for the stranger, probably you don't see him again or her again. So you don't care. But if it is a friendly neighbor, you definitely care because you have to see his face or her face tomorrow morning. And moreover, is you both are friends. And the third, in scenario, is your best friend, and so you definitely go with a positive coping mechanism of pausing, and being happy and all, right? So our actions lead to consequences. So maybe, because of the argument, there may be a fight, there may not be a fight, or because you are upset, you are not able to express your emotions, you don't have the mechanism to vent out. All these things happen, right? Consequences. So it can be a short-term consequence, it can be a long-term consequence, it can be a good, it can be bad, right? So we take actions based on our perceptions. Now let us look at, can we change the perception, right? So the same example, you are driving in a car and somebody came and hit you. He's a stranger. But at that point of time, instead of reacting, shouting, arguing with the person, can we think maybe that person is in a hurry? Maybe that person's relatives, or mother, or father, or the spouse, maybe they are, in the emergency. They are in the emergency. Because of that emergency, the person is, has to go fast. So now, if you think about this scenario, what will happen? Will you fight with that person? You would never, right? You would never fight with a person when you know that, or when you assume that that person is in a hurry. That person is, going to hospital. Some of his family is in hospital ICU. He has to go. He has to rush to the hospital. So at that point of time, you have more sympathy towards that person rather than trying to fight with him. So what happens is, in this case, the perception you were thinking about what control I have in this event, what is the timing, what value I'm associating with this, and what emotions I have, everything you can change. And obviously, when you have that kind of sympathy for that person, you will take the positive coping mechanisms. Probably instead of fighting with him, you will say, okay, let him go. Right? I will wait. I can wait. Let him go. And you don't fight. So that may help you in the long run, right? Probably that person says, I'm very sorry, I have to go in a rush, I will meet you later, So maybe, you are creating a beautiful relationship with another human being. But if you fight with him, what happens is your relationship, you don't know, that's fine. But who knows? Maybe sometime later you will meet the person. And the moment you see that person, only the bad things come into your mind because of the fight. But the same thing, you just let him go. You have a sympathy towards him. Then what happens is, next time when you see him, you will smile at him, and that person will definitely be thankful and gratitude towards you. So it's a positive result. So if we can change our perception, our actions will be changed, our behavior will be changed, and the results also we can change. Do you all agree? Yes, no? Can you type it in? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So this is first thing, right? The perception. How do we change our perception? So just we need to pause for a moment and think, what is the positive intention of that behavior? See, every behavior has a positive intention. As per neuro-linguistic programming, every behavior has a positive intention, right? Even for example, if you take a thief who is stealing something, the positive intention could be, the person is starving. Okay, the way the person is behaving, maybe, we are not accepting in our society. But probably if you look at the positive intention of the behaviors, then definitely, we can lead a more peaceful life. Yeah. So next one is, the second technique is worry chart. Right? All of us have problems, small problems, big problems, complex problems, everybody is going through. Right? We are living in a very dynamic world. So now this worry chart technique is, first we need to understand, do you have a problem? If we have a problem, if you don't have a problem, then you don't need to worry, right? Full stop. But if you have a problem, can you solve it? Can you do anything to do it? Can you do anything to resolve it? If you think, yes, I can do something, then again, no need to worry. Just go and do that action, right? Whatever is required. But if you think that, okay, no, I cannot do anything, then let us look at, okay, can I take anybody's help? Is there anybody who can help me to resolve this issue? If yes, no worries. And if you think that there is nobody who can help you, the situation is completely out of control, then definitely no need to worry, because by worrying you will not get anything, right? So by worrying, what will happen is unnecessarily you are increasing your stress levels. So if you can put down all your thoughts in your paper and say, okay, what I can do to resolve this problem today, if I can do anything, or if somebody can help me, then probably you will get some solution. After all the efforts, if you think that no, nobody can help me, I cannot do anything, it's completely out of my control, okay, then just leave it to Almighty, whoever it is, right? Leave it to the universe. You can't do anything. So here we need to think and recognize what is our under control, what is cannot be controlled. And then probably we need to, this is one of the thought stopping methods. Instead of thinking that why it happened to me, why it happened to me, probably we need to look at what is the problem, what solution can be done, and then if somebody can help me. So it is also called solution focused behavioral therapy. So we are looking at solution focused. So now I'm giving you some situations here, right? So anyway, because of a lack of time, we will not be able to go through this situation. But just imagine, right? You planned for a vacation, and weather spoiled your travel plans, right? Tomorrow you are, you book tickets for tomorrow. You want to go to Goa or wherever it is, and you have made all arrangements, and suddenly the weather, heavy rain came, and then your flights are cancelled. So now what you can do, right? So we can keep thinking about why it happened to me, why the hell rain came today. All these things are good, okay, but can you do anything? So what you can do, probably you try to call the travel agent or hotel and try to see if you can cancel the bookings and if you can get any refund. Or if you cannot refund, anything you cannot do, because it is out of your control. There is no point in thinking too deep and feeling so bad, right? Similarly, someone cheated you or you misplaced your wallet and you lost money. What you can do? Probably you can go and complain in a police station, and then if police can catch hold of that person, you will get back money. Otherwise, you will just need to wait till the police comes back, right? And somebody, one of your close friend passes away due to cancer or due to any illness. What happens, right? Yes, we don't have any control there, right? So definitely we need to feel bad for some time, but then we need to come out of that thought process after some time. Otherwise, we will get into more depression. So maybe you can think about other scenarios after this session, but these are some of the examples I just want to give you where you can use this worry chart. Is it clear? Any questions? Can I move on? Yes, no, you all with me?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So some of the things which we can control is probably our environment, our lifestyle, and our behavior. Which we cannot control is time, genetics, and all those things, right? Medical conditions, weather conditions, and all. Okay, so now let's move to the third technique, which is thought stopping methods for general anxiety. So some people, keep worrying about everything, right? They keep worrying about the money, work, politics, kids, husband, spouse, partner, whatever it is, right? See, even if they, it's called general anxiety, right? So, like, say if, say, if husband goes to the work, and wife is at home, and the moment husband steps out, wife keeps thinking about oh, what will happen to him, whether he'll come back or not, kind of thing, right? So continuously keeps thinking about that person, and what happens if he meets with accident, kind of thing. There is no end to these kind of thinking patterns, right? No exit. Keep thinking about it, right? So for these type of anxiety, we have some of the techniques, right? But before that, I want to ask you one question, right? So if you have ants, right? Ants in your home, what do you do? What do you do if you have ants in your home? Some ants may bite you, some ants may not do any harm, right? So what do you do if you have ants in your home? You ignore them, okay? Anything else you do? Just ignore them. Say, the line of ants are going right in a big queue. So you still ignore, or do you do anything? Yeah, you spray some insecticide. So some action you will do, right? When you see ants, maybe if it is one or two, probably you ignore. But if there is a big queue of ants in your home on the wall, definitely you will take some insecticide or do something to remove them, right? Some are harmful, some are not harmful, right? So same way, we have something called ants in our brain. What is it called? Sorry, in our mind. Automatic negative thoughts. Many people, or most of the people, have these automatic negative thoughts. We call it as ants. Anything you do, first thing we think about it is what happens if something negatively is there, right? What happens? I invested in money. What happens if tomorrow that money is not coming back to me, right? So lot of times we think about only the negative things, right? Of course, that is not your fault, but probably that is how the humans are evolved, right? So there were a lot of threats are there for the humankind when we started, right? And then people started looking at from which angle the danger comes, and we need to be ready for that. So that is the reason why we always think about what happens negatively, and then we want to be prepared for that. As long as you want to prepare for that, it is okay. But what happens is, if you cross the threshold, the boundary, then that is where you get into some kind of mental health issues. So for that, what we need to do is, we have some technique called journaling, reverse counting, and grounding. And there are so many techniques are there, but I want to just discuss these three with you. So journaling, you all know, right? So it is again similar to the worry chart. Whenever you get anxious about anything, whenever you want to, whenever you are having too much of negative thoughts, you just need to write down what is the problem I'm thinking about, what I can do, what are the pros, what are the cons, and then you will get better clarity when you write down, rather than thinking in the air. Many people don't want to put that effort to write it. Again, I'm not saying you need to write journaling, like every day. Whenever you get into negative thoughts, just take a paper, write down what is that I am thinking about, whether is it reality, did it happen earlier, what I can do, what I cannot do, what is the pro, what is the cons. You will get much better clarity. Otherwise, you only keep thinking about whether he will come back home safely or not, whether he'll come back home safely or not, whether he will come back home safely or not. This is what you keep thinking about your kids, your partner, kind of thing. So at that point of time, just write down, has it ever happened earlier? If it happened, what did I do? Is it realistic thinking? Right? So that is what is journaling. So I'm not going to get into too many details, because you can get a lot of literature on journaling. But the other two things, right? So the next one is reverse counting and grounding we talk about. So what I want you to think about it is, think about any minor thing which is bothering you, right? Don't think about major thing, but think about just minor thing, right? I'll give you probably 30 seconds. Just think about some minor thing which is bothering you. Okay. So now what I want you to do is, can you count? Okay, you count it, mentally, right? You don't need to count it loud. You can count it mentally, 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So, and when you count from 1 to 10, what happens? Are you putting any effort? Because we are habituated to count most of the times, we automatically count. We don't even put any effort. There is no physical energy required. There is no mental energy required to count from 1 to 10. But if I ask you, can anyone volunteer for me? Can anyone volunteer for me? To reverse count? Anyone?
Yeah.
Okay, Pradeep sir. Yeah. So I want you to count from 100, right, downwards, but at the steps of 7, like say 193. Then what number comes?
87. 86. 86.
86. And what is the next number?
99. 79.
79. What is the next number?
72.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So now the difference is from 1 to 10, you don't even need to struggle. You will count 1 to 10 or even 1 to 100. But when you want to count it in the reverse way, so when you were counting, right, 193, 89, you are focusing on what is the next number, but you are not focusing on what is the minor issue you are bothering. Isn't it, sir, Pradeep sir? You are more focused on getting the
Yeah.
next number. Correct?
Correct.
So that is the power of reverse counting. So when you start doing it, what you are doing is you are stopping your thought process at that point of time. That is more important. Otherwise, you keep thinking there is no exit. Now, the other important technique which I want to discuss here is grounding. So what is grounding is basically, you just do it along with me, right? I'll just, say what you need to do. You just do it along with me. Yeah. Look at 5 different things in your house. It can be anything, pen, cot, book, anything, right? Look at 5 different things. Done? If you're done, just say done. Chart. Any 5 different things, you can look at it. Okay. So all of you, I'm assuming you're doing with me, right? Next, touch 4 different surfaces. Any 4 different surfaces. It can be your wall, wood, iron, your mobile, face, anything. Whatever is nearby. Again, just let me know if you have done. Okay. Listen 3 different sounds, if possible. Right? You can listen to the fan. You can listen to the people talking nearby. You can listen to any vehicle sounds if it is coming. Okay, done. Smell 2 different things. It can be flowers, perfume, anything, food, whatever is accessible to you. Actually, you can, while doing this exercise, you can roam around, your room or house and do that, but it's okay now. Okay, now the last one is taste one thing, water. So now, if you do all these things in sequentially, right? Looking at 5 different things, touching 4 different surfaces, listening 3 different sounds, 2 different smells, tasting one. What will happen is you don't think about the problem there, but you will be more thinking about what you need to do. Again, these 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you can do it based on your convenience. Means if you cannot listen to three different sounds, but you can smell three different things, you can do that. This is not a very rigid thing that you have to do only three different sounds you have to listen, not like that. But you need to do this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 based on your convenience. So what happens is when you do it in a sequential manner, you will stop your thought processing and you try to do this activity. So automatically your thoughts will be stopped. Right? So did you feel that? So when you are doing these activities, you stop your thought process and you focus on these activities automatically. You don't need to, put any energy there. Right? So whenever you are having some issue and you think that you are getting into loop, why am I doing this? Why is it happening to me? Only why am I victim kind of thing? Just try to do reverse counting, grounding, or journaling, and you will stop your thought patterns there. Otherwise, you will keep thinking without any solution. Yeah. Is it clear? Reverse counting and grounding. Can we move on? Okay. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to do a small activity, right? So if you have a paper with you, it's okay. If you don't have paper with you, that's also fine. You can do it mentally, right? So first think about bad things that happened in the last 1 or 2 months. It can be small or big. You don't need to tell me, you don't need to discuss with anyone. Just think mentally, what are the bad things that happened in the last 3 months? Right? Just count. If you have paper, you can write it. Otherwise, you just think mentally and count. I'm just giving you 1 minute. Just in the interest of time, I'm giving you 1 minute. Otherwise, we keep writing a lot of things. So just stop, now. And now, I hope you all counted, right? We're just moving on. So now, if you have a paper on the right side, write good things that happened in the last 3 months, small or big, right? Again, you don't need to discuss with me or discuss with anybody, but just count. Okay. Now let's stop here. So can you all, write it in chat window, bad things B and count, and good things G and count. Like say bad things 2 G3, bad things 3 G2, or bad things 5, good is 1, whatever it is, right? Whatever you counted, can you please write down in the chat window? You don't need to tell what is that bad or good, but just count. Okay, G4, B4. Very nice. Anyone else? Hope you all have done this activity. Anyone else would like to say what is a good count, what is a bad count? Okay. So anyway, no problem. I'm just moving ahead. See, most of the times in my sessions, I found people write more bad things than good things, right? And if you know look at it actually, right? Most of the times when bad things happen, we always ask why me. But when good things happen, we don't ask why me, and sometimes we take it for granted. So, how many of you today have thought about the food which you have had today, morning and afternoon, lunch, which is a good thing? How many of you have thought about having a good family? How many of you have thought about having a roof over your head, even if it is rented house, right? If it is own house, right? How many of you have thought about it? Many times we don't think about these things and we take for granted. But there are many people who don't have family. There are many people who are sleeping on the roads. There are many people who don't have the food for even one, single time. Don't you think we are much more, privileged, and we are given so much of comforts by the universe? Don't we think we should be having gratitude towards that? But unfortunately, we don't count what we have. We don't appreciate what we have. Isn't it? Do you agree with me? Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. So many times what we do is whenever we are going for a vacation, we keep, flashing our cameras and we keep all our good memories in storage device, mobile phone, and we keep bad memories in our heart. But actually what we should do, we should keep putting more and more good memories in our heart and try to get rid of the bad memories by forgiving. Yeah? All right. So are you with me? Can I move ahead? All right. So now there are a couple of other techniques where we can challenge our negative thoughts and thought restructuring. We call it as a restructuring of thoughts, right? So reframing of your thoughts, right? We focus on the good goals. For example, I'll give you my mother, right? My mother is now like 75, 76 years old. And she didn't want to use WhatsApp for so long, right? Because she says that why I have to use it, right? But then, she realized that by not using WhatsApp, she is missing the connection between the family members, right? So, like, my uncles are in abroad and some uncles are out of, city. Her sister is somewhere else. No, so what happens is now when she realized that, okay, by doing this, I get benefit, instead of asking why I should do, she started using WhatsApp. The same way, instead of thinking that I don't want to do it, but I have to, no, I don't want to use WhatsApp, but I have to use WhatsApp, that creates a bad impression in your mind. Instead of that, I am doing it because it helps me. I'm using WhatsApp because it helps me to connect with my family members. I'm choosing to use it instead of saying that I have to use it. You will develop some kind of positive attitude toward the situation. Are you with me? Do you agree? Yes? Thank you. Now, the second way of looking at challenging negative thoughts, right? It happens in many organizations, right? When your manager gives you more tasks, people ask, why am I being asked to do this? Why not others? Yeah. But now, can we look at the positive intention of that? why am I being asked to do it? Why not others? Instead of saying that people are having more confidence in me to do this. Now look at your thought process. Immediately, your thought process changes, and you develop positive attitude towards the task whatever is given to you. Instead of saying that why am I being asked to do this, there are so many others are there. But instead of that, ask yourself, maybe tell yourself, people are having more confidence in me that I can handle more load, or maybe this is very important task that I can only do it, you know then obviously you will be able to develop some positive thought. Otherwise you keep cribbing about the situation and you do it without your full effort, and that may work, may not work. But when you are doing with interest, with positive attitude, definitely you will achieve success. Similarly, think about your family members asking you to go to market and bring some vegetables, right? Instead of arguing with them, probably just say that, okay, maybe I can bring good vegetables, right? uh, Maybe I'm better than other people in choosing the vegetables. So this gives you some kind of positive thoughts. Do you all agree again with this? Can we change our thought process by thinking like this? Okay, I'll give you one more. This is again, positive self-task, right? Give you confidence, right? I can't do this. Instead of thinking I cannot do or it is difficult for me, you can think I will try my best. I maybe it helps me to learn new things. Again, many times the generation of who is our is 50 plus, they are scared of using technology. They don't want to use technology. But unfortunately or fortunately, we are moving towards the technology, artificial intelligence era where everything is technology, right? And there are benefits also there. There are some bad things are also there. But as long as we try to explore the new things, instead of saying that no, I am old to explore this, I am old to learn the dance, I'm too old to learn music. Instead of that, why don't we try? Trying and failing is much better than not attempting at all. And do you all agree or no? At least it gives you some new things. You can learn new things, isn't it? Yes, no? Any answer? Do you all agree? Okay. Now, the last one, I'll, the last technique, this is my favorite technique. Right? It is called sequence changing, right? So what is sequence changing is, can you think of a person in your family or friends? This person is good. You think loudly, right? You are on mute, so I don't hear what you are saying, so nobody can hear. So you can think loud. You can you can say loud, right? This person XYZ is good, but he or she is finicky, right? Think, say aloud this statement. Think about any person that this person is good, but he or she is finicky, and observe your facial expressions. Or if you are an organization, you can think about my company is good, but the salary is very low, right? My organization is good, but salary is very low. This person, Ravi, is good, but he is very finicky, right? Did you say that? So did you observe your facial expressions and all? Now I want you to change the sequence and see the magic. This person is finicky, but he is overall very good guy. Are you able to see the expressions? See the change in your facial expressions, see the change in your thinking patterns, change in your mood. This person is finicky, but overall this person is very good. My company gives me less salary, but overall very good company. So now what we are doing here is we are focusing on the 90% or 95% or 99% of positive things rather than focusing on 1% negative things. In the first statement, you are focusing more on negative things, the 1% negative thing. In the second statement, you are focusing on 99% of the positive things, because whatever you say last stays with you for longer. It has more longer lasting impression with you. So think from that angle. Are you guys with me? Are you all with me? Yes? No? Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. So think about, the positive things and say that in the end, so that you will leave with a positive impression, right? That's the focus here. So I think today we have seen, these are the different techniques. So our thoughts, influence our feelings, and our feelings influence our behavior, and our behavior influence action. And if we can change our thoughts, definitely we can change our feelings, we can change our behaviors, and consequences will be positive consequences. So these are some of the cognitive stress busters for managing and coping with your stress. So in the end, I just want to, this is the last slide. So ABCs of stress management is having awareness of our emotions, and be aware of our behaviors, and then be aware of consequences, right? So these are the ABCs. So if we can focus on our awareness, the thought process, our feelings, we can change our behaviors, and we can change our consequences. And with that, that is my end of presentation. I'm happy if you want to ask any questions. We're just on time, maybe 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah, just one question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, see that point which you raised, that in an office, supposing you are getting more what you call the job, what you call work to do than others, like, and you say, why me, and it is not my job at all. So
Yeah.
you're right in a way when you say, and you think, yes, I am more competent, so that's why I'm being given this job, right? But then there is another thing in real life. What happens is you are exploited, and where they treat you as weak, and and then what happens ultimately, you take up more work than you can do, and it ultimately ends up in stress, like. So instead
Yes.
of reducing your stress, you are increasing your stress. So I
Yes.
think, while yes, idealistically this is good, but what is called, there is a vyavhar, in life, like there's a vyavhar, like, how you deal with the outer world.
Right.
So there sometimes you need to say no also, like.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. So that is where, what we discussed today is the cognitive stress buster. But when you integrate with your behavior stress busters, right? So one of the behavior stress buster is assertiveness, saying no assertively, right? Instead of saying that, boss, I have already so much in my plate, I can't do anything more. Probably we can, say that, okay, look at it. I have so many things already in my plate. Whatever you are giving me, I know that you have confidence in me, I can do it. But unfortunately, I cannot do it unless you reduce some of my other tasks or reprioritize my other tasks. So now what happens is we are integrating both behavior stress buster and cognitive stress buster, and we are having that discussion with our manager. Now the manager cannot say that you have to do that as well as this. Either the person has to reprioritize your task, or he has to remove some of the tasks, or he has to delegate some of the things to other people. Isn't it, sir?
Right.
Yeah. So we need to include both behavioral and cognitive stress busters. But say, for example, it is very important task, and your manager has a confidence in you, and you are not taking because already you have a lot of load in your plate. Now, what happens is maybe you are missing an opportunity to project yourself on an important task to your senior leadership team. So probably there may be a chance that you may be missing the growth opportunity. So instead of doing that, if we can merge both behavioral and cognitive stress busters, that will help us in a much better way.
Yeah, again, this thought of projecting myself, improving my image, getting good, being in the good books also. That is also one reason where you end up in stress.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling. So we need to balance between both behavioral and cognitive. See, again, I said, right, every person has a threshold limit. If I know that I cannot take up anything more, definitely we need to go and talk to the manager. We cannot keep taking it. As you said, it will increase unnecessary stress for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the question. Any other questions? Okay, if you don't have any question, thank you so much for attending this session as well as the last session. I hope it is useful for you and you can implement some of these things in your day-to-day life. And we can continue our conversations in our group as well. Thank you so much. Thank you for the participation, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Satya sir. Thank you, Pradeep sir. Thank you, Joseph sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It's a
Thank
very
you.
nice session.
Thank you, Arifa ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, shall I wind up the session? Can I close the session?
Yes, sir.
Thank you all. Thank you. Take care. Good night. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.